What's up, everybody? Welcome back. We are live. Nice morning stream. Okay, nice. We got everything updating correctly. We have lost the YouTube source, though. I don't know what's going on here. Go. Let's have the. Huh. Let me try refreshing it. All right. Anyway, welcome back to another amazing stream, as you all know. Oh, Jesus, I'm an idiot. It's not the YouTube browser that went down. It was the it's the camera. What is going on here? Hold on. We lost Droid Cam. See, it wouldn't be one of my streams if it wasn't total insanity technical difficulties. Damn, did it lose the okay. All right. So what we're gonna be doing today or this morning is I'm gonna throw some YouTube on at first. We're gonna react to some stuff while I am painting, and then um I wanted to do something new at some point today. Um that I like to call art. I'm gonna call artist showcase. Okay, so I'm basically gonna pop my Instagram up, and I'll show you guys some of my art that's on there, and we'll look at some artists. And I was thinking I could feature like, I don't know, like 5 artists every stream, and then I don't know, do something like that. Let me check the chat, see if anybody's here yet. There's nobody here, so this is a true 0 viewer stream, but that's okay because we're doing this. Okay, so let us refresh that. All right, let's see. I don't want to do any politic or religious stuff today. I would like to just steer away from that. But what the hell is this? Oh God, this guy! I swear to God, shout out to Grant Harding. I watched a couple of his videos. Even though he's a licensed pharmacist in what 4 states, 3 states, he he's taking some risks with these gas station things. But yeah, let's check this one out. Wait, what? Dude, isn't that like that is literally sex honey, isn't it? Just like the other pill he took. It was literally like a like a male enhancement thing. But those things should have anything in them. Okay. Let me make sure we got audio going. Of course we don't.
200.
Okay. Okay. So we're gonna have this playing, and then I'm gonna be painting a little bit. Okay. I'll try to keep my eye on the chat, but I think this looks pretty good. Right? Okay. Okie dokie. Let's do this thing.
Honey packs? How is this legal? Apparently, it's actually very legal because literally anyone can just walk into any sketchy gas station and buy as many as they want to. I'm Grant Harding. I'm a licensed pharmacist in 3 states, and I like to review medications so that you guys can make better, more well-informed decisions. And today I have something very special, one of the best tasting honeys I've ever had in my life. But what's interesting about this is it has a bunch of traditional and alternative medicines in that, and I've noticed it's confused a lot of people.
Huh. I gotta say, he really does need to be careful because, like,
People, so I'm here today to give a lot of very accurate information and set the record straight. But first, I wanted to try this out. Now, I want to try 2 of these, And unfortunately, I didn't realize this, but the directions say to take one packet every 2 days. So
Oh,
this is going to be a
dude.
2 day experiment, but I'll get started now with one of my favorite concoctions I've ever made. After several people recommended to me this very tasty honey, I thought that it would be best if I tried it out in one of my favorite warm beverages, a nice cup of tea. So before church one morning, I decided to
I don't know why, but sometimes when he's talking, it really sounds like he's like hiding from someone.
make a cup using a few tea bags I found at my local grocery store. The days are getting shorter and the mornings are getting colder here in the northeast of the United States.
Oh, he
So this
oh shit, he lives near. That's weird. He must live near where I live, or kind of in the general, region.
warm beverage is very welcomed. As you can see here, I expertly took off the top of the honey pack and ooh, look at that. Oh, I just love watching it go in. It's so good. Like, this is the best tasting honey. So I quickly mixed it up with my tea and
Really?
decided to enjoy it for a couple minutes before leaving. Now, as you can see from this image here, there's not a whole lot of description on the packet. It just says Royal Honey, the ultimate power source, and it does say VIP,
Oh,
which I am
yeah,
led to
right.
believe stands for Very Important Pharmacist. That's me. But the back is where things get interesting. The ingredients are as followed. Number one, honey. We're off to a good start. And number two is Tribulus terrestris. And it's so difficult to read because this package is not really the best color scheme, if I'm being honest. Tribulus terrestris is an herb that grows in the subtropical regions of Eastern and Western Asia, Southern Europe, and Africa. And I've seen claims that it can help lower blood pressure, may help with infections, and may increase testosterone in men. And some small studies have actually shown that it helps potentially with hormone regulation in women. And that's about all I could find about that. There's not a whole lot of information, and it's not really high quality information either. Also, another reason why I think that Tribulus terrestris was included in this formulation was apparently back like in the 70s, this Bulgarian weightlifting team just absolutely.
All right. I definitely need a new type of lighting in here, even though it looks like it's fucking like I'm in like fucking. I look like I'm being blasted with freaking light. I cannot get the lighting right. Like I need lights that can confusing. All right.
Ran train on everybody, and they were apparently using this. So I think because
Ran
that
train.
happened, this has been forever. The two have ever forever been linked together. The second one on here is Lilidium peruvianum or maca. Questionable spelling. I implore anyone watching this, try to find that spelling anywhere other than the back of this packet. I couldn't find it. The only thing I could find was something similar was Lepidium peruvianum, and I mean, it's also referred to as maca. So this is a relative of the radish and smells similar to butterscotch. And I think maybe that's why these packets taste so good, because man, they are really tasty. They grow at high plateaus in the Andes Mountains, so it has that sort of mystical feeling from a faraway land, like it's a,
But
I
there's no way that stuff could be real that he's getting. Like the stuff that he's eating right there, there's no way that's real.
don't know, anime episode or something. I don't watch that stuff. And there's been claims made for this to improve energy and strength, improve desire to have children, may alter women and male hormones, but there's not really enough evidence to say this actually does work. Next on the list is Uricoma longifolia or Tongat
Shouldn't use this
Ali,
brush.
and this one was one of the more interesting chemicals, or herbs rather, I guess you could say, in this concoction. It's a flowering plant in Indonesia, Malaysia, that area of the world. And it's used for everything that I've seen. That I've seen claims for fever, jaundice, adult energy in men. And what makes this so interesting to me is that it may actually work.
Mm.
So there's a lot of studies that show that it may help, but there's also a lot that say that it also may not help. The data is inconclusive, and a lot of the studies I was looking at that showed that there was some benefit in like testosterone level, for example, in men. These men were also working out, and they're working out is going to improve pretty much everything. Honestly, everybody should be working out for every reason. But additionally, there could be a bit of a placebo effect going on there as well. But still look better than most things on this list, honestly. The last one here, Panax ginseng. It's native to Asia, and there's been claims made that it improves physical stamina, concentration, memory, even diabetes. But studies are lacking quality, but it does look a lot better than a lot of the things that I've seen, especially even things that are on this packet, even. Now, my favorite part on my research on these packets is this. They got in trouble by the FDA for putting actual real life medication in here and dangerous medication at
Wait,
that.
really?
Now,
Oh,
I've
damn,
seen
it's
this over and
autofocusing like
over
crazy.
again
Hold
whenever I
on.
review these
I
gas
didn't notice
station
that.
supplements. It's almost like all of them, and I'm not even exaggerating, all of them have gotten a warning from the FDA for doing this. So it blows my mind how ubiquitous and rampant this is. I would never suggest anyone takes these. I'm doing it just as a public service and to show you guys, and as part of my research to sort of educate people. But
Oh,
I would never recommend anyone buys anything they buy
oh,
in a
look
gas
good.
station unless it's an actual medication reviewed by the FDA. These supplements are, first of all, they're scams. Second of all, they're apparently very dangerous. So I do not recommend any of these,
Man,
and
the
I
focal
certainly do
length
not
on this
recommend this one.
cell phone is
Even though
ridiculous.
the Royal Honey Pack could potentially limit my
Oh, I
time
watch
on
it.
this earth, I decided to
Is something
test it
this
out for the
tall?
second day anyway. And by the way, this peanut butter I got from the Dollar Tree, it was just smooth peanut butter with a couple peanuts sprinkled on the top. I thought that was so funny. But I am a trained professional. I know that my heart. Oh, Alexa, zoom in on this part so they can't see my armpits. All right, good. I am a
Wait, what?
trained professional. I know that my heart is normal and healthy, and I felt comfortable taking this because what risk
I don't know, man. I feel like this guy's like a stand-up comedian or something, and a licensed pharmacist, I guess. Because the some of the stuff he says is so I don't know. It seems so deliberate and like he's setting up. I don't know. He's hilarious though, and if he doesn't, he should do stand-up because he's that's his
is
thing.
there would be acceptable for someone in my healthy condition to
Mm,
take.
this is
And
wrong.
I
This
finished
isn't gonna
this
work.
very delicious snack, and you'll hear my results
So what
soon.
I
You
think I'm
folks are a
gonna
bunch
do
of
is mix
scoundrels.
that
Oh, I'm
card.
just
I'm
kidding.
gonna.
This
Sorry,
is
I'm
day
gonna shut up.
2. I've taken it for 2 days now, or I guess this would be the third day technically, and I feel exactly the same. I feel no different whatsoever. Yesterday, when I was at church after I drank the tea, I didn't feel anything at all. And today, or I guess that was 2 days ago, and then today, whenever I took it and then went to the gym, I was hoping to get a much better pump in, but I didn't even get that. It was a completely normal gym session. In fact, it was probably one of the worst I've ever had. This is absolute Junko garbanzo beans. I was hopeful too. I There was the one herb in there that I saw that may actually help,
Man, he
with the
has
Russian or the
changed.
Bulgarian weightlifters and stuff. So I was like, okay, maybe this will, get me pumped up. But it didn't even do that. And honestly,
It's
if that does
disappointing.
help, I mean, you would have to take it for a long period of time. It wouldn't be no every 2 days thing, which by the way is completely random and arbitrary. I mean, what is this, warfarin? A lot of people were saying you have to activate it by taking it with Hennessy. That has never been the case with any chemical ever in the
I don't
history
know
of
about that.
civilization.
I would
That is
agree.
just false stupidness, locker room chatter. That's something a kid thought of, I'm sure. I do not
No,
recommend
it's not.
this honey pack. I don't recommend any gas station supplements. The FDA has shown that they always, not always, but for the most part, they pretty frequently contain actual medication, which can be incredibly dangerous, especially when we talk about medication interactions. So I don't recommend this. I don't recommend anything. It's junk. Stay away from it, please.
Oh no. Oh man. Fucking toilet's going crazy again. I can hear it. I gotta go upstairs real quick. I don't know what is going on with the toilet up there, but when it's refilling, it has like this anti-siphon thing. Hold on, is this still playing? Sorry. Wait, did it stop? Oh, it stopped. Okay. It has this like anti-siphon thing that like it must be broken, I'm guessing, because as it's filling up, it'll stop, and then all of a sudden, every fucking pipe in the house is like do 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 do. All right, so give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Oh God, I should. Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! All right, I'm back. That thing's haunted. I swear to God, shit was ridiculous. Second I got up there, it stopped. Oh, all right. All right, so let's pick another video. Let's see, what are we feeling? What are we feeling? Is this viewer my self watching? I think it is. Hey, shout out in the somebody's watching. What's up, man? Or girl? Or whatever. All right. Let's see what we got. Why is this? Oh. Bow, chicka, bow, bow. I have a really hard time painting on stream because there's just so many things I'm like thinking about. So if it seems like I'm like barely doing any painting sometimes, it's probably because I'm just not used to this yet. Eventually, I'll get to the point where I can just chill out and like focus on what I'm doing. But also the fact that autoplay is off. Usually, I have it on the TV, and I don't have to think about what I want to watch. Uh, let's see. Review text USA Dark Side giving me a major reality check. Oh, let's see what this is about.
Okay, I didn't really want to talk about this originally, but you know, with a lot of the news about Review Tech USA coming up on YouTube recently,
Yeah.
I think it might be a good idea for me to give my own 2 cents on the matter. Unfortunately, the situation, from what I could tell from other YouTubers, is looking a lot worse than I had originally expected. It was like a major case of skibbity bob da boom, like everything just like everything, all the
I agree.
respect that I had for this one guy just got thrown into Magma Mountain. Wow. I combined Review Tech USA.
All right. Shout out to this guy, but I need to watch something else. All right, let's see. How the fuck is Trump gonna deport 20 million people? Should we react to Asmongold reacting to somebody else reacting? Yeah.
I don't know how he's going to deport that many
Actually, you know
fucking
what? No,
people,
no,
man.
no, no, no.
Like,
Let's not get
apparently they said it was
politic. Let's not get political. Where's the Damn it! Where's that one that was just right there? It's great. Now everything's political because I clicked on that one video. Um. Oh, here it is.
So
Shout out to Podcast Cringe. I like him and Too Lazy to Try and Joke World. They're awesome.
I guess we just get right into it. The last case that we talked about, we had a very unfortunate incident happen after the podcast, about a month later.
Yeah.
The gentleman beheaded somebody.
Allegedly, yes. Yeah, I thought this one was probably better off just me. Let me think real carefully about the next.
Yeah,
the
I
next
know.
guy.
Jamie and I were both talking about it. Do you think he's going to bring somebody in?
With well over 2,000 episodes of JRE released over the last 15 years, Joe Rogan's had some pretty controversial guests on the podcasts. One of those guests was Sheldon Johnson, and for all of Rogan's talk of assassins and murderers, killers, etc., it was only a matter of time before he had an actual murderer on the show. But there's one thing that we know about our boy Joe. When he fucks up, he does it in the most ironic way possible. You see, Sheldon went on JRE with longtime guest Josh Dubin, a lawyer who advocates for prisoners who were wrongfully convicted. Except when he brought Sheldon on the podcast earlier this year, he was the first guest that was actually guilty, but had supposedly received a harsher than appropriate sentence. Josh helped him to get his sentence reduced to time already served after 23 years in prison.
You don't want somebody to go into the prison system and come out worse.
Right, and which happens. Most
Right?
of the
And
time.
then we hear about these horrific incidences. Parole board let him out. 2 days later, he pushes somebody into the train tracks, right? This is not what you want. How do you prevent these things from happening, right? By being proactive, by being responsive instead of being reactive. Don't wait for something to happen.
Just a few weeks after he spoke those very words in Joe Rogan's studio, Sheldon would allegedly murder and dismember a former inmate and attempt to hide his body parts in different freezers. But what he didn't realize was that in the 25 years since he'd been in prison, CCTV footage had improved to the point where you could no longer get away with wearing a blonde wig to disguise yourself while moving body parts around in suitcases.
There was so many crazy things to that case. The craziest thing was him trying to fool the security cameras with a wig. Like, I guess he didn't know how high resolution cameras had gotten over the 25 years that he was in jail.
I mean, apparently there's a lot he didn't know based on the surveillance.
It doesn't look good.
What do they say in Texas? It ain't too shiny.
It's so crazy because, we went out with him that evening. We brought him to the comedy club. He was hanging out with us in the green room. And then the news broke. And then the comics were all like, hey, man, what the fuck? What the fuck are you doing bringing that guy around? I'm like, well, we didn't know.
I'm as shocked over it now as I was in the moment. I mean, it's really not funny. I mean, I'm only laughing out of sort of nervousness, I guess. I called him a miracle on this show. And,
Yeah.
and the media shoved that straight up my ass. I mean,
Of course. But that's what they're going to do.
So I'm going to get into this episode in a lot more detail in just a moment because it ended up turning into a therapy session for Josh Dubin, who, as you can imagine, feels partly guilty for his role in getting Sheldon out of prison early, only for him to go out and commit one of the most gruesome crimes possible. I'll give you my opinion on whether Josh has anything to answer for, or if this was just an unfortunate incident outside of his control. And there was something that I noticed as this conversation went on that's very similar to the conversations Rogan has with his comedy buddies. So I'll get to that in a moment because, speaking of comedians, did you hear what Rogan said in that previous clip about how he felt betrayed by Sheldon because he brought him to the infamous comedy mothership green room to hang out with some of the top 250 comedy assassins? What did Ron White say about how exclusive the green room is?
The best thing about the green room is how restrictive it is. You know, that you just can't go in there. You know, you're just not, you got to earn that spot in the treehouse, you know. And so anytime you open the door, you'll see, you know, some of the best comics
Earthquake.
alive sitting there talking about stand-up comedy and,
Yeah.
you know, writing jokes and laughing and having a good time. But, you know, that's our
Yeah.
little space.
But one
man.
problem
It is
about
the
using
greatest
that as a
thing on
camera is that
Well,
I
it
can't
turns out
fucking look
all
at
of
my
Rogan's
messages
buddies,
and
who are
stuff. I should
supposedly
probably
murderers,
put
get
that
upset when they
on
meet an actual murderer. But for those of you who
Cheers, so
don't
I
know
can
the
see
full
what the fuck is
picture,
going
this
on in
was
my
Josh Dubin's 8th appearance on JRE, his first going back to 2020. He's a civil rights attorney who advocates for people who have been wrongfully imprisoned, and he brings
I
some
think
of
I
them
knocked out
onto
the
the
focus
podcast to
again.
tell their story and spread awareness for all of the work that he does. However, Sheldon Johnson was not wrongfully convicted. He was actually
what's
guilty
that?
of
Oh,
his crimes,
crap.
but the difference
Is that the
was
white
he
balance?
supposedly
What did I
received a
just do?
much harsher than necessary sentence relative to the crimes that he pleaded guilty to.
Well, he was the only guy
what
that
the
you'd
fuck
ever
just
brought in
happened?
that was actually guilty, that you felt was
Oh.
in jail for too long. You know, he
Oh, it
got a 50-year
completely
sentence,
reset.
correct?
I didn't even know that.
70,
Okay.
and he was reduced to 25.
It was just
20
basically time
time
served. He did
served.
about
I can't
30
fucking
years,
see anything.
and they resentenced him.
So I think Dubin misspoke there. Sheldon said he originally got a 50-year sentence. I'm not sure where he got that 70
All right, I
years
think that's
from.
good. All
Maybe it sounded better in his head. But if you go back to Sheldon's appearance on JRE from earlier this year, he explained the crimes he was guilty of and how he ended up getting such a harsh sentence. And one of the things that stuck out for me was how much he downplayed his crimes, making them out to be common assaults where nobody actually got hurt, rather than being honest that each incident included multiple
Oh, you
felonies,
know what?
which all contributed to such
This
a
blue
long
color,
sentence.
I
It's a
believe,
shame
is-
Rogan's bullshit detector was malfunctioning that day, but stick around because wait until I tell you about Sheldon's father and son.
I caught the gun charge that that triggered
No,
the
this is-
felony that it allowed them to be able to sentence me the way that they did in 1994. Two people in particular I gave consignment to, and I ended up getting arrested for a case. And when I sent someone to go pick up the money from them, they kind of just was like, you know, whatever, I'm not paying them.
You got arrested for something. You're in jail.
Yes.
These guys figure since you're in jail, f- it, we're not going to pay him.
Yeah, I'm not going to pay them.
And then the case that you were arrested for got dismissed.
Got dismissed.
All right,
I got
so then
acquitted.
So then you come home.
So then I come home and, you know, I need my money. You know, I gave you something and we had an understanding that you
And
were
what's
going to
the-
pay me.
I think it's cobalt.
And when I
blue that
came
I'm
home,
trying to find.
When I finally located this particular individual, he had his
Shit,
girlfriend with
not
him.
that either.
And this guy owed me $5,000. And when I saw him, he had a bunch of jewelry on. He was with his girlfriend. She had a bunch of jewelry on. And I said, hey, man, where's my money at? Oh, yo, I was going to pay you. And I took his jewelry. And his girlfriend happened to be there. And unfortunately, she got caught up in the situation. I had a bunch of young guys with me, and they robbed her as well. And he got hit in the head with the
This
gun right here
motherfucker,
on the
dude.
side of his head, and he got 2 stitches. And they gave me 25 years for that case.
Did you hit him in the head?
No. One of the guys that I was with hit him in the head. And he identified me in a photo array, unbeknownst to me. He identified me in a photo array. This guy, you know, as far as I was concerned, he was in the streets just like I was. So in my mind at the time, this is a guy who I gave something to. He's living an illegal life. I'm living an illegal life. In hindsight, as I moved on and I became more mature and I began to reevaluate myself, I realized how wrong that was. But that was later on. At this time,
Oh,
I
really?
committed the crime and I just kept moving. Another guy that I ran into, he also owed me some money. He owed me $7,000, and it kind of went along the same ways. I got word that this is where he was at, and he was selling drugs, and I was going to get my money. And the same circumstances kind of ensued. Saw him, hey, what's going on? Reading in between the lines and outside the margins without really going into all of the details, I robbed him because he owed me $7,000.
Did he get physically hurt?
No, he didn't get touched. Got roughed up a little bit, but
What?
there was no physical harm.
Got roughed up a little bit, but no
So
physical.
how do you rough somebody up but they didn't get touched? That whole conversation was weird as fuck. Out of
Yeah,
all the
this guy
wrongfully
is
convicted people that Josh
terrifying.
Dubin could have put on there with him, he chose this guy. I've got a lot more to say about that in a moment, but let me tell you about his father, because when I was reading up on him, something stuck out for me that I just could not get past, and it actually made me fucking angry. Sheldon's dad, Sheldon Sr., was a deaf crack addict who was also a convicted criminal. Listen to this though. Johnson Sr. separated from his wife in 1978 and started a family with another woman. In 1986, he was convicted of rape after sexually assaulting his 7-year-old stepdaughter 3 times because, quote, his second wife refused to have sexual relations with him
What the?
because she was angry at his continued drug use. And get this, he was only given 5 years probation by the judge, who claimed that a harsher sentence, quote, would entail excessive hardship for his family, who depended on him as the breadwinner. But he
fucking
had to
kidding?
move out of the house due to a court order requiring Johnson Sr. to stay away from his stepdaughter. What the actual fuck? Bro, what is this? 5 years probation? What are we doing here,
That's
B? But let's get back to what
unbelievable.
Sheldon was just saying in those clips from JRE. That was his version. Now listen to what actually happened. Johnson committed a series of robberies targeting people that owed him unpaid protection money during his time in prison. During one such robbery,
insane.
Johnson non-fatally shot a man in the back as he attempted to flee from him. He was arrested under the alias Thomas Smalls in Manhattan for possession of stolen property in 97, and months later in December, he was arrested for attempted murder and robbery. In 99, after rejecting a plea deal that would have had Johnson serve 23 years in prison, he received a sentence of 50 years without parole for 41 years. That's on fucking Wikipedia, guys. Did Rogan or Josh Dubin, who's an actual lawyer, bother to read that before
I
letting
know.
Sheldon lie through his teeth on
I
that
feel like you
episode?
would.
It gets worse though, because Sheldon has a son, also named Sheldon, who dodged a manslaughter charge at the age of 14. In April 2008, while his dad was imprisoned, his son, now 14 years old, also named Sheldon, was charged with manslaughter for the April Fool death of a 24-year-old Columbia University international student. He was struck and killed by a passing SUV as a result of Sheldon punching him in the back of the head in a random, unprovoked attack after being encouraged to do it by his friends.
That's
But he
fucked
was
up.
not convicted, and instead, he was ordered to 18 months in a juvenile detention boot camp. So, with all of that bullshit in mind, you'd think Rogan and Dubin would finally admit that they fucked up, right?
I've had a lot of time to think about this, and I know you and I have discussed it privately, and I kind of went into a hole. My first thought was, I had 2 thoughts, was that poor guy that got killed, and it was a gruesome murder. You know, it wasn't just beheaded. I think he was dismembered completely.
Well, he was trying to get rid of the body, right?
Right.
Allegedly. What was the circumstances with the guy that he allegedly killed?
I don't know if I'm doing it just because I'm distancing myself from it subconsciously, but I don't know all the circumstances. But apparently, this was someone he knew from childhood and from in prison. I've heard rumors and, you know, stories about the guy threatened his son to, he slashed Sheldon when they were in prison. I don't know if you remember, Sheldon had this big gash across his face. But I don't know. And I frankly don't want to know at this point because
You
someone
brought him
lost their
on.
life. You know, if I felt even remotely responsible for that, which I do, and, you know, I can be at peace with it, but I didn't cause that death.
Well, if the guy really did slash his face, if you've been in literal mortal combat with a person and this person is allegedly threatening your son or whatever, you know, there's only so much you can do to stop a person from seeking revenge.
I guess.
Especially if they don't have any hope outside of the system and they've been completely institutionalized. There's a reality of prison life. There's a reality of being incarcerated. There's a reality of taking a person who's convicted of a violent crime and putting them in jail with violent people for 30 years. There's just a reality. And, you know, I don't know what history he had with this man that he allegedly killed. You can only take so much.
Yeah, that's actually crazy. Reaching that hard to empathize with a psychopath is all kinds of fucked up. And let me just get one thing straight here. This is the thing that Rogan and Dubin refused to acknowledge as they sat there counseling each other and sniffing each other's farts. Nobody could have predicted that Sheldon Johnson was going to go off and commit such a gruesome murder. Allegedly. But the real issue for Josh is the fact that he was parading this convicted felon around as if he was a wrongfully convicted and now exonerated prisoner who was the victim of an unjust legal system and trigger-happy prosecutors. I've said this before about Josh Dubin's JRE appearances. I really enjoy them. Some of the wrongfully convicted guys that he brings in with him were so humble and forgiving. They were grateful for all the help and publicity surrounding their exonerations, and they just wanted to get back to their families and try to claw back what little time they have left. Sheldon Johnson is not that guy. I figured that out from just reading a couple of paragraphs on Wikipedia. Josh Dubin would have had access to all his files, his whole history, all the evidence against him, etc., etc., yet he still thought this guy was a good example of the fine work him and his team have been doing. And even when he did stop and reflect on what this means for him and the work that he does, he still managed to fudge the figures and give himself yet another pass for being reckless.
I have to take a hard look at what I'm doing and take the mirror out and look straight in it and say, like, what did I do wrong?
You did nothing wrong.
Well,
I don't think you did anything wrong. You just listen. The man had great qualities. He, like, when you talk to him, he's very intelligent, very nice guy. He just thought he could get away with getting payback on somebody.
Yeah, look, that's super gracious of you. He didn't let me down. Look, I was the public face of his resentencing. There was a lot of great people involved. There was nothing that raised a red flag for anyone.
I'm so focused on creating this stupid ass pattern that doesn't matter because I'm going to put so much color on this thing anyway that you wouldn't notice. So
he didn't let anyone down. If he did this, people will draw their own conclusion. He'll have a trial. He didn't let anyone down if he did this but himself and the people that still need help. The recidivism rate for people that have served long sentences like that is less than 1%. It just happened to happen on a case where I was involved. I have no...
Is it really that low?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. If you look at exonerations, resentencings of people that have been incarcerated for more than 20 years, it's that low.
Okay, so when I heard Josh say that, I went down a bit of a rabbit hole and I ended up discovering that he was full of shit and stretched the truth to suit his own narrative. Let me explain for a moment. So, he said the recidivism rate for wrongfully convicted prisoners was less than 1%. Now, there isn't a lot of data to go off, but the consensus seems to be that the rates are much lower for the wrongfully convicted, so we'll give him that one. But he also threw in resentenced felons in there as well and tried to pass them off as having a low recidivism rate, which is just not true. Resentenced prisoners tend...
There might be times where I can't keep this in frame, where I have to turn it to like get a part on it.
To have similar rates of reoffending to prisoners who see out their sentences and get released as normal. According to a study by the Bureau of Justice Statistics, about 68% of released prisoners were rearrested within 3 years and 77% within 5 years. So, trying to lump Sheldon Johnson into that 1% category of wrongfully convicted is straight up lies. But at the end of the day, Josh is working on the front lines, guys, and I'm just some dude on the internet, so he's probably right. I mean, after all, he's an expert when it comes to incarceration. He read a book about it when he was at college.
I can't apologize for giving someone a second chance and then, they squander it. All I can do is say, what could I have done better? I mean, I have a deep understanding, I think, of what incarceration means. I mean, I read this book. I always get his name confused. Is it Henry Jack Abbott or Jack Henry Abbott? It's called In the Belly of the Beast. When I was in college, I don't want to offer this as an excuse, but what it has caused me to do is reevaluate and say, look, maybe I need to take a much closer look at what sort of mental health counseling these folks are getting. Like Sheldon I arranged for him to be speaking to a trauma therapist. Should I have been on him more to be going to those appointments? Maybe. I keep on sort of adding this disclaimer, and maybe this is my aversion to like getting attacked. I am not excusing if Sheldon did this. I just think that it's not so simple as, oh, you help some guy get out and get resentenced, and look what he did, and all these people and your movement. Okay, you're entitled to that opinion. That's where I leave it.
Yeah, you can't listen to those people.
One of the best things I did in the wake of this whole Sheldon Johnson incident is I turned comments off on Instagram and turned my account private. Turning comments off is a nice thing because you can't believe the good stuff or the bad stuff. You just stay forward.
Yep, that's right. Whenever you majorly fuck up, just disable the comment section and everything will go away. Except Jamie forgot to disable the comments on the episode here on YouTube. How dare Josh show up without a murderer? You can blame whoever you want, Dubin, but at the end of the day, the judge was right. Besides the body parts in the freezer and multiple other crimes, Sheldon Johnson is a good dude. Who could have known he was going to do that? I don't know, maybe the judge that called him a danger to society before this clown got him out. The comment section is 1,000 times better than the podcast in this case. He should have been left in jail. Some people can't be rehabilitated. Josh Dubin playing the victim couldn't.
Yeah, can you imagine, like, legitimately being like put in prison for life for something you absolutely didn't do, like truly did not do, and you're just like wrongfully convicted? Bruh, that's got to be insane, because obviously everybody I'd say most people in prison probably are like, I didn't do it, but man, that's got to be fucking crazy, I have to say. All right, so let's see. The problem with doing this like this is that unless I get it completely perfect, which means doing 2 coats, and I only have, like, I'm mixing these colors right now, so I have to do something that is going to be kind of loud, so I'm probably going to mute my mic in a second, because I'm going to have to blast this thing with my hairdryer every couple minutes just to get the paint dry so I can add another coat before that custom color runs out, because I have no more of these little tiny things. These things. I have no more empty ones, and I really need some more. So, all right. Okay, I'm gonna play this. I'm
be
gonna mute
more
my mic.
repulsive. What a douche. I have a very deep understanding of what it's like to be in prison. I mean, I read this book. I can't believe Joe brought this guy back on. And as of recording, the podcast had around 6,000 dislikes to 10,000 likes, which is pretty high for an episode of JRE. But I just want to finish off with something I said earlier about how this reminded me of the conversations that Rogan has with his top 250 fake murderers, and it's that they can never take responsibility for any wrongdoing. I think that's what bothers me the most about JRE these days. When was the last time you've heard Rogan or one of his guests say, you know what, I messed up and I think I'm going to take some time off to reevaluate my decisions and take responsibility for the consequences of my actions? Instead, we get this circle jerk of apologists who gas each other up and pretend like they didn't do anything wrong. I mean, for Joe to sit there and tell Josh that he didn't do anything wrong and to just shut out the haters because they have limited information and don't know the full story is wild. It's actually the opposite. Josh had all the information and still made a bad decision, knowing the severity of Sheldon's crimes and the likelihood of him reoffending. But Josh is in the business of selling his narrative that these guys need a second chance, which might be true, but he definitely chose the wrong pinup boy, that's for sure. Anyway, make sure you go and check out the link in the description to my Patreon if you're interested in my longer form uncensored content. While you're here though, hit the subscribe button and make sure you give me a thumbs up if you ended up liking this video. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you in the next one.
I promise the next time I bring a guest on, they will be vetted.
Yeah.
The guests will be vetted a lot more thoroughly.
All right. Man, it's so hard to see that. Here, you know what? Let me try to turn the light off. Because I think it's just the light is so glaring from right here. But I can open the blind. Actually, you know what? Let me give it a tiny bit of light. That actually kind of works. I feel like that works. All right, let's do that. All right. All right, what are we watching? I think I'm gonna have to do a part 1 and part 2 of this morning stream because I need to go out to the store in a little bit. So I'll probably do some more painting, some more videos and stuff like that. And then we'll come back. I'll probably come back. Oh, damn. I don't know if I can vape on stream or not. I keep like going to hit it because I have a absolutely crippling addiction to nicotine. But it's really hard to tell, especially since I I stream to both at the same time. I might just stop streaming on YouTube, which is weird because like I only watch YouTube pretty much. So it's weird saying that like I don't want to stream over there, but like I feel like Twitch has better like I don't know. I feel like the terms of service on Twitch are a little bit laxer, but there's also buttons that you can check like if you're gonna be like smoking bud or I don't know, like vaping, anything. So I don't know if I should check those because it probably won't. I don't know. It's confusing. I'd rather almost just be in one ecosystem that I know I'm doing the right thing or like what I actually can do. Whatever. All right. Let's throw on. Oh, let's throw on UFD Tech.
Microsoft
Oh,
invents
fuck, that's loud.
thin clients. Google might have to split off Chrome, and AMD is gonna
so loud?
split into the phone market. Let's get into the hot news, everybody. I'm your Brett host. We're gonna be going over the hottest tech news they can find on the internet while you enjoy your breakfast this Wednesday, November 20th, 2024. We're gonna start off today talking about Microsoft's. They had a big
Shout out to UFD Tech. Once again, I am going to attempt to get all the links to what I've been watching in the stream into the description. Yes.
big event yesterday, and they got the attention of people with their new Windows 365 Link desktop PC. This little guy's gonna cost $349, and it doesn't run anything locally. It does connect to Windows 365 in the cloud, but not actually being powered anything on the device itself. It has a whole host of I/O, has an important Ethernet port, and can connect to various things. Tom's Hardware says that it doesn't come with storage, which isn't quite true, but it has 8 gigs of RAM, 64 gigs of storage, and an undisclosed Intel CPU to allow it to connect to the cloud and run everything that Microsoft wants you to have at your fingertips so that you can be trapped into their Windows ecosystem completely. It only has Wi-Fi 6E and Bluetooth 5.3, not Wi-Fi 7, but it has 3 USB-A ports, a USB-C port, so that you can connect all the various different dongles and witch-watch that you want to put on the PC itself. But it's a tiny little small PC costing $349. Microsoft could have price it at $365. That was a good joke that VideoCard's made in their article covering this, but it's supposed to come out in April of 2025, and everything that I've read about this is that it's an RDP client to connect to an Azure server, so it's not
That's
anything
crazy. When you turn this,
revolutionary.
I
Thin
don't know if it
clients have been
shows it
around
in the
forever.
camera,
It's just that
but
this is now going to be
that
connecting
outer
to
layer
Windows in the cloud
starts
specifically
glitching out
and not
in real
meant
life.
to do anything
I
else. It's
can't
not meant to
explain it.
run
There's
local
certain
apps.
ones
Now,
on my
does that
painting
mean
where, like,
that
it's
you
on
can't
block
find a
flow.
way to hack it and put
Sorry, I gotta remember not to like talk over the video. My bad. There's certain colors that I mean, I'm sure this is a well documented phenomenon, but I've seen it since for years, especially with uh what is it, purple and orange and blue and red, like a certain blues and reds. If I shake it, it literally looks like it's glitching. Like your eyes just can't keep up with the image or something. It's actually pretty cool. Um, having the lights this low in here is actually really messing me up. And it's still, I can't tell if it's my laptop screen because the screen on this is horrendous with the viewing angles. Like you got to be pretty much perfectly in front of it to get what it looks like. So when I'm sitting here like this, it looks like it's glaring. Is it in focus? I think it's in focus. Whatever.
something like a different operating system on it? Probably not. I'm sure people might pick this up and tinker with it in order to have it run things locally, but it does look like it's going to be underpowered for doing anything substantial. And so it's weird. Comes in at a weird price too. $349 is quite expensive for what they're offering here, especially when you compare it to what Apple just released earlier this month with the new Mac Mini. That's a 10-core CPU, 10-core GPU, 16-core neural processing unit, 16 gigs of RAM, a 256 gig SSD, has gigabit Ethernet, 3 Thunderbolt 4 ports, an HDMI port, 2 USB-C ports in the front, a headphone jack, and that all goes for $599, $250 more than this 365 link.
That's a fucking killer deal. I would much rather that than this computer. I actually have an old iMac. There's actually that's one of the things I want to do on stream. I want to try to like do a whole stream where I'm trying to get this thing back and working because number one, I need a USB keyboard and mouse to even start to try and fuck with it. And now I actually didn't have a laptop before, but now I guess I could. I think I can reload the OS from my laptop, my Windows laptop. I know there's some way to do it, but basically I don't know what the fuck I did to it, but it like wiped, or either my daughter like was messing with it and she like deleted system files or something because it got completely fucked and it doesn't even boot now, I don't think. So, but it's a sick one. It's like an old 2006 iMac. Oh yeah, I need to call the dentist too after the stream ends. You know what? Actually, what time is it? All right, we're at the hour mark right now. I think I'm gonna call it part one. Because I do have a few things I do need to do. Gotta go to the store, talk to the dentist, because tomorrow's supposed to be my getting my impressions done. Finally. My gums are like pretty much healed. I don't feel completely healed though. But it would be great to get my new teeth and not annoy everybody in the world with the way I'm talking. Well, sometimes it's not too bad. But sometimes I forget that I don't have any teeth when I go to eat. And I'll go like, and like nothing will come off the floor. Because like in your head, like I thought in my head that when I got them out, that my gums would just like touch each other when I close my mouth. They don't do that. Your mouth just stops. So like after hard, I can close my mouth. I don't know if that's normal or not, but that makes sense now. All right. I'm going to go through the outro and everything. And we will see you. And maybe like it's 9:30. I'll probably be back on around like 11:30, 12 o'clock maybe. Okay. So if you want to come and check out the stream again, I'm gonna be painting again. We're gonna do the artist showcase and some Call of Duty zombies. All right. And maybe some Snake Cam. Squiggles has been out a little bit today. Okay. I'm gonna stop talking and I'm gonna throw it to our new outro. And remember, if you follow, I can't figure out why I have 5 followers when it says 4 followers. So I'm a little confused on that. That's why there's only 4 followers in the outro. But yeah, if you follow, become an OG member, not member, but like an OG follower, you'll have your name in these videos forever. All right. See you guys later. Love ya. Peace.